Hey guys, what's up? I hope that you are all doing well. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about what are the habits that are going to help you manifest miracles into your life. And first off, I just want to let you know that this is not going to be one of those typical spiritual videos where I'm talking about scripting or any type of other excuse me, like manifestation technique. I'm not going to be talking about that kind of stuff because the chances are if you are watching this video, you probably already are someone who's into all that stuff, which is so great. But you need the other side of things where you're able to actually show up, do the work in your life, and do things in a really practical way. And that is how you're going to be able to have these miracles happen in your life. Like when you are so focused on just doing like the spiritual and doing all those other manifestation techniques, like that's wonderful and that's great, but they may not get you the things that you're actually looking for. And it's going to be because you are not showing up and doing the work that you need to be doing. So that's more of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about. And so, first off, that literally is the first habit. Like, get into the habit of doing the work in your life. Whenever you have a goal, whenever there's something that you want to manifest, even if you're just trying to manifest a particular feeling or a certain kind of experience in your life, right? Like, say if you really want to be someone who can like build generational wealth for you and your family, like me, right? If that's your goal, are you learning things about finances? Are you taking the time to maybe connect with people or learn more things about how people have been able to do that? Do you have different income streams? Are you, I don't know, like, are you saving up? Like, are there practical things that you are literally doing in the real world to get to where you want to be? And if the answer is no to any of my questions that I just asked you, then that that's an area that maybe you want to work on. Maybe that's something that you want to start looking into and trying to figure out for yourself. Like, how can I start to show up and do more of like the work in my life? Because it's great, right? To be able to dream and visualize, and like all that stuff is going to move you closer to where you want to be in your life so you can have the things that you want. But if you're so in your head about every single thing and you're not really rooted in reality, you're going to notice that you're not getting the things that you want, or maybe you're getting them but you recognize that like the stuff that you're getting doesn't look the way that like maybe you're really hoping for, or it's like you keep feeling like you're so close to manifesting this one thing and it just hasn't happened for you yet. It might be because you just need to start showing up more and doing more. So I want you to also look at what you have and learn how you can become a little bit more resourceful with those things. Like, I know people say this all the time, especially when you want to have something amazing. Like, we all have this habit of being like, okay, I just don't have the resources. I don't have the resources to do this. And I'm starting to notice, like, sometimes that's not actually true. Like, when is the last time that you've actually sat there and tried to figure out what all of the resources are that you have? And I'm going to share an example with you guys. Like a couple years ago, some of you guys might remember this. I don't know, but I held a workshop and I had a really hard time trying to get people to like come to this workshop. And I was super passionate about it. And I just cared so much about like being able to do this one thing and have people show up and have an amazing space for them. And at that time, I also was like just now working towards building my business. I was going through like coach training to become like a certified life coach at that time a couple years ago. And when I was doing all this stuff, like I realized that there were so many resources that I had available to me that I didn't realize at first. Like, I was able to connect with like some of the teachers that I had at university. Like, I reached out to them. I started taking time to like talk to other students literally like at the school, like on my free time about these things. I started like allowing my intuition to guide me to know who I needed to speak to. I started doing other things like um, just anything I could that was going to allow me to be creative and use resources that were available to me, but they weren't things that I was thinking about like just so easily, like in my mind. Like I really had to take time to think about, okay, what is everything that I have in my life and how can I use these things to be able to get me to like exactly where I need to be. And I know some of you might be listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, like that's so simple. Like that's not like a life-changing strategy. But hear me out. Are you doing it? Now that is the question. Are you doing it? Because it's one thing to already know this information. It's another to be able to show up and apply these things. And that's what I'm trying to encourage you guys to do. So literally look at that and see how can you become a little bit more resourceful, because sometimes it's not about like you not having the resources that you need to get somewhere. It's about you not actually using the resources you already have as stepping stones to get to where you need to be. Okay, so just remember that. The other thing that I would love to ask you is, are you the kind of person who can sustain the results of the things that you're praying and asking for? Like, are you that kind of person? Because if you're not that kind of person, then guess what? You're not going to have all the things that you want, most likely. Now, not always, because this always happens too, where like sometimes we get things and we don't appreciate them at the time that we have them, and then we lose those things. But more often than not, more often than not, you're going to recognize that like you don't always get the things that you want at the time when you want them, simply because maybe you're not the kind of person who can like be able to hold space for the things that you're praying and asking for. And now that is very distinct and that is different from saying that like you're not worthy of having those things, because that's not true. You know, sometimes when we hear things like this, I think sometimes we think that that means that we're like unworthy or like we're not deserving enough to have those things. And that's not what it is. You are absolutely worthy and deserving of having all the things that you want. It's just about like, are you ready to be able to actually have those things? Because I can give you guys like a real life example. Okay, like I at some point am going to start dating again. And right now I'm just so focused on like my life, just making money in my business and all those kinds of things. And I remember periods in my life where I've really, really wanted to be in a good, fulfilling relationship. And like that's great. Like that's like a dream for me. But I had to get really honest with myself. And I recognized that like the person that I was just not ready to have all those things that I wanted in a relationship. Like I wasn't I wasn't being fully vulnerable with people. Like I wasn't ready to show up and being fully vulnerable or like intimate with another person. Like I wasn't willing to do all of those things. And even though I wanted them very badly and I thought to myself like I can totally do this, when it came time for me to do those things, I did not do them. Right? Like so I'm just sharing this with you to give you an idea of what I mean by that. And I really want you to understand that it has nothing to do with deservability. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about, are you willing to do the things that you need to do to get to where you need to be? Are you the kind of person who's going to be able to even appreciate those things once you have them? Because sometimes we want things, but like we don't really appreciate them when we get those things. And like, hey, look, we're all human, like no judgment here, but it's just something to think about. And I want you to consider what version of yourself is going to be able to really stand in your power and have the dreams, have those things that you're praying and hoping and wishing for. And I want you to really like kind of like map this out a little bit. Like, where are some areas maybe where you can improve? What are some things that maybe you can do to show up more in your power so that you can have all of those things? And I'm telling you, it makes such a difference in your life. And you're going to notice that maybe more things are going to come in, and it's going to literally feel like magic in your life. All these things can happen, and where you are right now is not where you're going to be for the rest of your life. So I'm just like making sure you guys know that, because change literally is the only guaranteed and constant thing that is always going to happen in life. Like, that is a promise, that is a guarantee. You are always going to have change. So just keep that in mind. Now, the other thing here is like, are y'all willing to learn? Are you willing to invest in things that you want? Because let me tell you, like, I'm gonna keep it real. Like, if you're trying to build $1 million business on a $10 budget, okay, it's gonna be real hard, and you may not get what you want out that business. Now, I believe anything's possible. Like, I literally stand by that statement. Like, so many amazing things have happened to people in life, and they're like, oh my God, like, how is this even possible for me? And things have happened to people when they haven't had all those resources. Like, this, that is such a great thing. But I just want you to make sure that you are staying open to learning things. Learn things from other people that are going to help you get to where you need to be. Make sure that you are learning, like, in your daily life. And that doesn't have to just look like researching a topic or taking a lecture or like a class, or I don't know, like getting a coach or a mentor or something like that. That stuff is so extremely helpful, and I absolutely recommend that, and I will always recommend that because it really is life changing. I'm just also letting you guys know that, like, if you don't do those things, there are other ways that you can learn. Like, I've learned so much from the people just around me in my own personal life, just from staying open and listening to people and talking to them about things that they love, things that they're passionate about, paying attention to what other people are doing, like having role models and things like that. These things really make such a difference in your confidence and just your ability to continue to show up and be consistent, especially when you haven't manifested the thing that you want yet in your life. So keep that in mind. Now, this is kind of like cheating a little bit, because I know I said I wasn't going to talk about any of like spiritual techniques, but I have to throw this in because I feel like I would be doing you guys a huge disservice if I didn't. And that is to make sure that you have persistent prayer. And that's such like, it might sound kind of like cheesy or obvious, but like, it does make a difference. And I've been in periods in my life where I've just been so down and so low that all I could do was just literally just pray and try to ground myself. And I noticed that not only did I gain so much strength from doing those things, I learned so much more about myself. Like, I was better able to support myself on my journey of self-discovery. I learned so much more about myself. I really was able to show myself what I was capable of. And you're also creating a direct communication with God and the universe and your spiritual league and team, your angels, your spirit guides, all those people. And you're just letting them know, like, hey, like, this is my intention. This is what I'm working towards. Like, or if you're asking for those things, like, I just want you to know, like, they are listening to you. You're not alone. And your guides and your angels and all those beings are absolutely always with you, and they are supporting you. So just keep that in mind. If the dream that's on your heart is also the dream that's in God's heart, like, you will have that thing. Like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right, you know? You might have a couple of setbacks, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to get to where you want to be. So just sharing that. And make sure that you're having fun. Like, when was the last time that y'all had fun when working towards your goals? Because um listen, like, I used to be the kind of person where I was a huge workaholic, and I definitely kind of still am, not gonna lie. So it's easy to focus all your energy on like doing work. I have to do these things, follow these lists and all that stuff. And like, cool, great. But what about like actually having fun with what you're doing? Like, this is what I'm doing now. I frequently change the topics that I'm going to do for these videos because I pick things that are fun for me to like sit here and talk about and do. Like, this video right here, this is something that's fun for me to show up with. So just try to see where you can have more fun in your life. And when you have more fun, not only are things more enjoyable, you attract more enjoyable experiences and you're better able to express gratitude for the things that you have, which is my next point. Express gratitude, because when you are so wildly grateful for the things that you have, you will see that you will call more of those things into your life. So please, please, please make sure that you are expressing gratitude. Make sure that you stay in a state of faith and surrender, because you can have the things that you want. It is absolutely possible. I mean, we live in an infinitely possible like universe. Like there are so many possibilities, but sometimes we get so stuck in our heads that we forget that we can have these things because maybe they haven't happened yet. Maybe we've been working so hard and it just feels so overwhelming and draining whenever you don't see results right away or when you expect them. So I want you to get to a place in your life where you just have so much faith that things are going to work out, even if there are detours, even if you have to put things on hold for a little bit, like it's going to be all right. And make sure that you're staying flexible in this process, and make sure that you are consistent, because you will get the things that you want. And something that is absolutely necessary in that entire process is making sure that you are challenging the beliefs that you have. You are actively working through the limiting beliefs that you have in your life, because your limiting beliefs literally do create your reality. And that's not just some like, some little like hoodoo voodoo stuff like spiritual people say on the internet. Like, no, this is a absolute real thing. And there is science to back that up. For example, we know that whatever is in your subconscious mind is going to dictate your behaviors. And guess what? If something is subconscious, then it's not in your conscious yet, which means you're not aware of the fact that it's guiding your decisions. So by being able to engage in this process of becoming more aware, asking questions, being able to challenge beliefs that you have, you're making yourself more available, more open to have the things that you want, because you're becoming more consciously aware of things that you can do to get the things that you want, things that maybe you need to let go of that you've been doing. Maybe you need to shift the way that you're thinking about this situation. And there's always so much work that we can do on those things. I mean, that work literally is never ending. And I bet you right now, you have a shit ton of limiting beliefs on something and you don't even realize it. So take some time to work through those things. Notice when you have certain thoughts coming up throughout the day. One easy way to really do that is just like write the stuff down. Like make sure that you have a journal, track your thoughts throughout the day. Or maybe if that's isn't appealing to you, and that's totally cool, and maybe you like to engage in a process like more mentally of thinking through thoughts in your head, then that's okay. Like I do that a lot too, but I also write stuff. So something you could do is think about it in your mind and then write those things down later, and then maybe reflect back on them and actually see like what beliefs can you pick out and then reframe them. Like this is something that I have done a lot over the last couple of years, and I think that that has really been like the key component that has changed my life and has made me into the person that I am, and has allowed me to be able to get the things that I really have wanted. And something else you can do, this really is my final point here, guys. You can always share what you're going through, talk about it with people, like connect. Like having support and connecting with people is going to help you get so far in your life. Like even if the people you're connecting with are not, knowledgeable and like where you want to be, like they're still going to help you, because you have people in your corner who are like rooting you on. It is beautiful, like how I said in my earlier points, to work with like God and your spiritual league and team and all that stuff. But you also need people in your real life who are going to be there for you, who are going to cheer you on, even if maybe you can't see people. Like in the real world or connect with them. Like there are so many different online communities of people. And if there's not one that like you can find, create it. See how you can show up and be creative and have fun. Use the talents and gifts that you have. All the things that you want are so possible for you in your reality. And always remember that like we are always creating our reality. And all the things that I shared with you today really are things that are life changing when you do them, when you stick with them. And I've been able to experience some great things in my life. Like, for example, like I have worked through just so much stuff that I thought I was going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. And they haven't come up for me like in a really long time, like legit years. I just haven't experienced them. And I never thought I was going to get to that point. I mean, so many relationships in my life, just different kinds of relationships, not romantic ones, but different relationships in my life have seriously transformed from actively exercising these things and me putting in the work to create these things to make the relationships in my life look the way that I wanted them to look. And I think that that has helped other people as well, like around me, show up in their power and things like that too, because it's so important to make sure that you are keeping yourself inspired and you are inspiring people by showing up and being yourself and doing all these amazing things. So I just want you guys to know that it's not like people aren't noticing what you're doing. Even if like nobody's like liking your post right now, I'm telling you, there are people who are watching what you're doing, because people have told me all the time, like, I watch your videos, or they'll say like, I've been watching what you've been doing for a really long time. Like you're doing great. And that feels so good to hear, because sometimes, we forget that like people are listening, people are watching us. And it's great to know that the things that you're doing are not going to waste. It's just sometimes we start to believe that when we don't hear those comments, or like maybe no one's buying our programs, or like we don't have any clients, like that's okay. You're going to get to the point where you have these things. So just stay open and just remember, like, you are doing such a great job. And I want you to just understand as well that like all of the answers that you need are already within you. Like there is never going to be anybody on this earth who is a better expert of you than you. And the sooner that you start to really believe that, you're going to notice how different you are, and how much more powerful you show up in your daily life. And guess what? Other people are going to notice that too. No matter what you're going through, like you have the power and the knowledge to figure out what is best for you. And you're going to kill it. And I'm so grateful that you guys sat here and you listened to this episode. Please make sure that you like this video. Make sure that you subscribe to my podcast. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you are watching this right now on YouTube. And please also make sure that you leave a review. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, it helps to push my podcast out so more people can see it. And if you're on YouTube, please make sure that you share this video with someone who might need to hear these messages. There are so many people in the world who are trying to manifest their dreams right now, and maybe they just need a coach or a mentor or a girl on a video just like explaining things to them to give them hope. So please, like, that really helps support me so much whenever you guys help me connect with other people who are on this journey too. Thank you so much. I will see you guys next Thursday. And my final thing here too is, if you guys need any help or support on anything, please reach out to me. Like, my entire job as a certified life coach and a mentor is to help you work through the limiting beliefs that you have. It's to help you show up, be in your power, get clarity on the things that you need and you want in your life. And it's to help you make sure that you stay consistent in working towards your commitments. And I'm going to help hold you accountable in that process. So if that is something that really resonates with you, do not be afraid to reach out to me either on here or through my website, biancaward.com. Just contact me on my contact page, and you and I will set up a free call just to talk about like your goals, what you want help with, and how I can show up and help support you. So thanks so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.